welcome back to Baby Spice's YouTube channel. Please tell me you know who the Spice Girls are. Oh God, I'm feeling old. I am excited for a number of reasons. One, I'm not wearing pants right now and you can't even tell. Two, I'm not wearing a bra and you can also probably tell. Nudity aside, I'm really excited for today's video because it has a super cool announcement at the end, which is something that I've been wanting to tell you guys for so long, and now I finally get to tell you guys. And yes, I am gonna be the asshole who waits to talk about it until the very end of the video because it has to do with this video and also because I want the views. Yeah, I need to pay my rent. If you've been watching my YouTube channel long enough to know what my Dr. Meghan series is, I'm just impressed. And if you don't know what it is, it's basically where I would hop on camera and just spew out lots of advice based on questions or like topics or certain situations that you guys were currently in that you would send me through my Tumblr ask box. But I thought I would bring back a similar format of that just because, I mean, I love giving advice and most of the time my friends won't even ask me my opinion and I'm like, I'm just gonna tell you it anyway. Exactly like I used to do in 2011. I've been collecting topics in my Tumblr ask box, so I'm just going to go through and give you guys some advice. If the advice sucks, don't blame me. I've got my questions on my laptop and let's dive in. Oh, that was me diving into my laptop. My boyfriend and I broke up a few weeks ago. I love him so much. I also miss him so much. So many people keep telling me it was an unhealthy relationship, but I know if he was to come back to me to ask about getting back together, I would. I feel like I'm not going to get over him and I just don't know what to do. If it's getting physical or violent or even like emotionally violent and anything like that and abusive, that's a time where like this advice wouldn't pertain to that. That situation is definitely unique. But if it's something where it's just a typical kind of like unhealthy relationship, you have to make your own mistakes being the person who's in it. But at the end of the day, I think the question you have to ask yourself is, why did you break up in the first place? If whatever that is that made you guys break up, if that's still an issue and that's still there, then I think ultimately it's always going to lead to the same end. I don't necessarily think that your friends are always going to like 100% love the person you're dating always. I mean, up until like this current boyfriend, like my friends have all hated like all of the guys I've dated. If they don't want to be involved because they're constantly having to talk to you about this and like be so invested in this relationship and being there for you when you've broken up and then supporting you when you get back together, that's a lot to ask of somebody. And I think your friends also have a right to kind of be like, you know what, like if you want to date him, that's fine, but I don't want to hear about it, just because you are putting someone through all of that again and again and again. Do you want this kind of relationship for the rest of your life? And if it's yes, then okay, but if it's no, know that that relationship isn't the only kind of relationship. Even if it's the only kind of relationship you've been in, promise you it's not the only kind of relationship that's out there. And ultimately, you will get over him eventually. It might not seem like it in the moment. It's gonna take some takeout food and some Netflix. I'm about to graduate high school and I'm one of the only virgins in my class. It's a personal choice, but I still get teased for it sometimes. I don't want to lose my virginity just because of what others say, but I don't know what to say when people tease me. It's kind of embarrassing. What should I say? I tell them to fuck off, and then I would tell them that their sex life must be pretty boring if they're focusing so much on yours. How do I tell my boyfriend I don't want to do sexual things all the time? Every time we are alone, this seems to be the only thing he wants to do. He doesn't force himself on me, but I still feel awkward and bad if I tell him to stop. I'm trying to find a way to be comfortable with saying it's just too much for me. Whether you're in a relationship with somebody or not, you can always say stop and you can always say no, and that needs to be 100% respected. You should never feel guilty for that. Some people are more sexual than other people, and I don't mean on like a sexuality spectrum versus straight and gay. I just mean like your interest in sexual activity, and that's also completely fine. Emotional intimacy and physical intimacy are important parts of relationships, and relationships should have both, or at least have people who are on the same page about both of those. I think it's also about figuring out what you like and like what turns you on sexually and all those kinds of things. But then also, like, sure, maybe you're dating someone who's like a super horn dog and you just have a lower libido, and that's something for you guys to have a conversation about. But if it's the fact that you're not wanting to have this physical intimacy, maybe it's because you feel like you're lacking an emotional intimacy together. You might not want to be physically intimate all of the time, but what do you want? And I think it's about having an open and honest conversation with your partner. And if it is a case of low libido, actually a lot of medications can contribute to that. So if you feel like that might be the case, I would 100% talk to your OBGYN. They'll like spread you open and like inspect your lady bits and be like, let's see what's happening. I'm not gonna do that for you. We're not that close yet. I'm 21 and going on my first date, and I'm freaking out because, well, I've never been on a date. And I also think that there's a chance that the opportunity to sleep with him is there, and there's a part of me that just wants to get my first time over with because I feel like I'm missing out on the fun, fooling around, early 20 stage of life. So I want advice on what I should do. A, how to prepare for the date, and B, should I wait or just see what happens? First of all, congrats on going on your first date, and secondly, how to prepare. Well, you said you're 21, so if it were me, I would have a drink. I would always have like a friend over and invite them over to hang out with me while I got ready and like talk through my nerves, or FaceTime one of my friends and really just take my time so I wasn't rushed. As lame as it sounds, I would also have like go-to date outfits, and it's like a power outfit, like a Hillary Clinton power pantsuit. Not that you have to wear a pantsuit, and if you do wear a pantsuit, all the more power to you, and please tweet me a picture. And then my advice on like the having sex part, I think you should do whatever the fuck it is that you want to do. I don't think you should go into it with the idea like, I'm gonna lose my virginity to this guy tonight, because what if you end up like really not hitting it off? But if you're in the mood and you want to, 100% go for it. That also being said, your 20s is only for like fooling around if you want it to be. If that's not what you want and you just want to do that because you think that's what you're supposed to do, you really don't have to. Whatever you do you. In the wise words of Corinne, the prophet. I'm a girl who likes girls, who has a serious crush on a girl for the first time. I know she also likes girls, but I have no idea how to go about this. Ha ha ha. Do you have any tips on getting a crush to notice you or drop hints that you're interested? I think the obvious answer is to compliment the person, but I don't think compliments that have to do with like physical traits or things you like can't really control, I don't think that's as personal, but I think if complimenting personality traits or like something about them that's not physical and not so topical and superficial, I think that is something that shows a deeper interest. Not only are you interested in them as like a person, but you're also paying attention to them as a person. I think that's kind of like planting a seed, but if you want to get like more of an answer, I think enlisting like a friend or a mutual friend to kind of like test the waters, or you could just do what really aggressive younger Meghan did and just ask them straight up and be like super straightforward, which I honestly also think is the quickest way you're gonna get your answer. So I'd rather like know early on and then like peace, or just be like, great, wanna like make out of the movies? How do I deal with my parents? They constantly judge me for wearing makeup. They say they accept me for being gay, but I don't believe it because they always seem to be embarrassed around me when I'm out. I'm saving money to move out, but I know running away from my problems isn't always the right answer. I honestly think saving up money to move out's a really strong thing. I think that's really prioritizing your mental well-being and taking charge of your own future. And I think it's a really mature thing to be able to look at your surroundings and look at the people who are in your life and know what's healthy for you and what's not. Because as much as like society tells us who is supposed to be there for you 100%, sometimes that's not always the case, and like it totally sucks and that's not fair, but that doesn't mean that those kinds of people who are going to be so supportive of you in whatever you do, it's not that those people don't exist, it's just up to you to find them. And I think saving up money to move out, if you know that that's going to make you feel better and you're not going to feel judged and you're going to feel empowered, and that's so important. Hey Meghan, I'm really close to a lot of work friends, but I'm always too scared to hang out with them outside of work because I don't smoke or drink like a lot of them do. Obviously they don't pressure me to do it, but I always feel left out when I'm not around them. What should I do? This is something that I feel like I have a lot of experience with. A lot of people smoke and drink and do that kind of thing because it's the easiest social activity. It requires like zero planning because no matter what you're doing when you're like drunk or high or whatever, like that's an event in itself. So take it upon yourself to plan something. I love having people over for dinner parties and like even playing like board games or like Cards Against Humanity or things like that. If you don't have like a place to invite people to, then like going planning like, oh my god guys, let's all go see this movie, or like let's all go play mini golf, or like let's all go bowling. Additionally, if you don't feel uncomfortable being around them when they're partying, go to party. But it's just knowing like, ooh, do I want to go to this or do I not want to go to this? Because that's what I'll do. Like if it's like casual and people are drinking, sure, whatever. If it's like let's pregame and then go on a bar crawl, I'm a little less likely to go because that just means that people are more likely to get really drunk and like more likely to forget my name. And I'm like, solid, great, cool, awesome. Hey Meghan, there's this guy I randomly hooked up with, but now I genuinely like him, but he doesn't feel the same. What should I do? Move. You. Move the fuck on. Seriously though, just peace. Deuces. Adios. Bye. Nice. Thanks for the whatever happened. See you never. Do you think the guy you've been dating for 7 years should post about you on social media? I've been dating a guy since I was 14 and I'm 21 now, and we never post about each other on social media and have 2 pictures together. I want to take more pictures together and post about one another, but he says as long as we know we love each other, posting on social media isn't important. Am I being crazy or is he being shady? Please answer. I need advice. Your feelings are valid if you feel them. If you feel weird about it, it doesn't matter if from an outside perspective, is it actually weird? Because you feel like that, that means something needs to change, regardless if he's doing anything that like is actually shady. But to play devil's advocate, not saying that your boyfriend's the devil, why do you feel that you want him to post about it? Is there something else that's making you feel insecure that you need that sort of validation? Or is it just the fact that like you want cute coupley pictures? And then if that's the case, posting about it on your accounts, that should be fine. And if you're secure and you trust him and you know that everything's like cool between you guys, then I would just be like, okay, cool, like whatever, don't post about me, like that's fine. I don't think you need to post about someone like a ton on social media to like have a healthy and stable relationship, but if it's eating away at you and really making you feel like he's being shady, then I think that's a conversation you need to have because you're gonna keep feeling like that. Hi Megan, I'm into this guy and we have mutual friends for the past 4 years since we started high school. There's always been a flirtation between us. Every one of my friends comments on it, but I'm not sure how to let him know I'm open to something without potentially ruining our friendship. We have lots of mutual friends and I don't want to make things weird for everybody. Sadly, there is no way for you to ensure that your friendship will stay intact if things go south. That's just like the straight up hard truth of it all. You can never be 100% sure if a friendship will last, that kind of thing. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not worth it. And when it's worth it, you'll know. It will be very, very clear to you. And I say that coming from someone who's dated a lot of her friends. And for me, I've always had that realization when the risk was enough, when the risk of potentially losing out on like a great love of my life, when that was more terrifying to me than the risk of losing a friendship. I dated my best friend when I was in high school and he was like the first love of my life, and our breakup was absolutely terrible and we weren't friends after it, and to this day we're not friends anymore, but I don't regret that. I don't even know if we would have like stayed friends regardless if we had dated or not. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and I think if that fear of missing out on a relationship is there, then I would say go for it, because I mean, who knows what could happen over the course of all of these years. You might end up losing that person as a friend later on because they start dating somebody new and you can't be friends with them because you've always had those unrequited feelings for them, or you start dating someone new and they don't want to be friends with you anymore because it's too hard for them to see you with somebody else. Because you have mutual friends, I think probably the easiest way to figure out if he's interested in you the same kind of way is to have like a friend kind of like plant the seeds on either side, and then you guys can come together and have that conversation if it gets to that. And if you don't embark on it, then there's like 101,000 bajillion plenty of other fish in the sea. I'm sweating. I told this guy that I like him, but he likes somebody else. How do I get him to like me? You don't? You're a person, you're not a persuasive essay. Convincing someone to like you is the start of like the most unfulfilling relationship ever. Wouldn't you rather be with somebody who actually genuinely really likes you, who you like too, who you didn't have to like make a PowerPoint presentation to be like, I have great hair, I have a 3.7 GPA and I can tutor you in geometry. So I'm 22 and I've never had a boyfriend. I feel like a flop and I realize it's now cool to not date and to be single, but it's a big deal to me. I feel like a freak and I don't know what to do. I have zero self-confidence and I can't even speak to a boy without being awkward AF. I feel like I'm destined to be forever alone. Any tips on self-confidence and getting guys to notice you? And think about it this way, Lisa Kudrow, Lisa Kudrow didn't even like have sex until she got married and she was like 30. Okay? But no, I've got more advice for you. Don't worry, I'm not just gonna end there. It's also not about getting guys to notice you. It's about putting yourself in situations where there's a mutual attraction, the ability to find people that you're also interested in. It takes two to tango. It can't just be like, oh, this guy likes me and thinks I'm cute, I'm gonna like him by default. I personally think self-confidence and confidence in regards to dating are related, but they're also not mutually exclusive. I think you can be a confident person and have zero confidence when it comes to dating. Dating's weird. It's like not something you can get good at without practice, but it's also not something you can practice in hypotheticals. You like actually have to go out and go on dates. dates. Which leads me to my next tidbit. You can ask guys on dates. Going up to a guy and asking him to like go out with you or like striking up conversation, like that can be terrifying. I've never been great at that at all unless I'm like 6 shots deep. I'm like, I'm not gonna talk to you. I feel like dating apps get a bad rep, but I honestly think they're like an introvert's guide to dating. Okay, this might sound kind of bitchy or whatever, but I also don't think that you have to go on to dating apps with the intent of actually going out with people. Okay, some people might say that's like leading someone on if you're like messaging them and flirting with them, but I mean, like, I'm guilty of it, so I'll just be honest with you. I would go on and just like flirt with guys and message guys and get comfortable like talking to guys. It kind of builds up that sort of confidence, and who knows, maybe you'll be chatting some guy up on a dating app and you guys will end up really hitting it off and then going on a real date in person and dating. I know so many couples who are like in successful relationships that have met through apps. I don't think there's any shame in it at all, but if you do feel weird about that, I think like tell the people in your life that you're interested in dating, and if they have anyone they want to set you up with, that like you're open to it. I think you can also put yourself out there by just surrounding yourself with new people. I think if you hang out with the same group of people all of the time, you're never gonna meet someone new. So I think if it's like joining a book club or getting involved in things like outside of like your bubble of comfortability and like your social surroundings, expanding those horizons serves the opportunity to meet a bunch of people, and especially if it's in something that you're really interested in or passionate about, meeting people who are also like-minded and into those things too. I don't think there's any ill intentions of going into a date not necessarily being 100% convinced that this person is your soulmate. The more dates you go on and the more people you're exposed to, the more likely you are to not settle for somebody just because they're your only option and like, this is all that I have. It's better to like, you know, like survey around, and eventually you'll figure out exactly what it is that you want, and someone is going to see that in you as well. So it's not settling, it's just, you gotta sift through the shit. How do I get over the fact that my boyfriend is shorter than me? I know it's silly, but sometimes it bothers me. Maybe it bothers him that you're taller than him. Have you ever thought it that way? Seriously though, if that's something that's really bothering you, I think there's probably some other things that are also bothering you that are manifesting in that feeling. There are definitely things for me, like when a relationship was kind of like teetering off, things that I used to find endearing or things that I like didn't care about at all would suddenly like really just like grind my gears and like piss me the fuck off. I used to hate like this one hoodie my ex wore, and it just like pissed me off and I hated it so much. And I was like, if I'm thinking about his hoodie so much, there's probably not a lot of great things in our relationship that I'm thinking about because they're being overshadowed by like a fucking American Apparel sweatshirt. So I think it's like asking yourself that bigger question, like, am I happy? Why the fuck do I care so much that he's shorter than me? Like, is this the fact that I'm just like not attracted to him anymore? And like, that's also okay. That probably means other things that piss you off too. Me and my boyfriend broke up a few weeks ago and he slept with a different girl that weekend. We both still have feelings for each other, but I'm reluctant to forgive him. Advice? I think if you're reluctant to forgive him, you shouldn't. I don't think getting back together really ever works unless it's a clean slate. If you go in with a chip on your shoulder and not even necessarily like consciously holding something over his head, but if there is still that like very real pain and that very real like resistance there, I just don't think it's going to succeed. I think definitely take some time to figure out if it's something that you can forgive, and if at the end of that you really can't look past it and it's not something that you can really move on past, that's okay. And I think that means it's time to move on from that relationship. I'm sorry, it's kind of sucky. I'd be hella fucking pissed. Yeah, probably like egg his car. So while that is all I'm going to answer in this video, it's not the last you'll be seeing or hearing of Meghan giving advice. This is the special announcement time. I am so excited to announce that I have started my own podcast. So if you didn't get enough advice in this video, you're gonna be able to get a full-blown, long-ass advice podcast with me. It's called Don't Blame Me. I actually have a phone number where you guys are gonna leave voicemails for that. So in order to do the podcast, I need you guys to leave voicemails. So if no one leaves a voicemail, then this video is irrelevant and there's no podcast. So please leave voicemails. I'm gonna be like in your ears. It's gonna be fucking great. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to call in. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Bye. As you guys can probably tell from the title, today I am doing a boyfriend does my voiceover video. And I hadn't done like a serious makeup tutorial in a while, and I mean, not like this is a serious makeup tutorial at all.